Matthew chapter 10. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these: the first, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent forth, and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. And into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. And when ye come into an house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another, for verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both the soul and the body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. He that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. So in Matthew chapter 10, the disciples are given power, and they're given power to clean spirits, and to heal all manners of disease, and to even raise the dead. And so this is just continuing from the past couple chapters that really is focusing on the physical healing of people that Jesus was doing. And that was a large aspect of Jesus's time on earth, was healing people. And it probably was so much that's probably part of the reason why he gave power to the disciples, because he was able to. And just there were so many people that were coming trying to be healed by Jesus. I mean, there's tons of examples in the gospel where Jesus is just totally surrounded by huge crowds of people. And I guess it's just something that it's not at the forefront, even though it feels like it should be, that a large aspect is healing people of diseases. And just what it makes me think of is how many times people today are healed. Just think of all the stories that you hear about where doctors say there's no way that these people will ever walk again, or anything like that, and people are healed. And a lot of those stories, people talk about being healed by God or being healed by Jesus. I know personal stories where people were suffering from mysterious medical conditions that were unexplained by doctors, and the people say that their doctors, who don't even believe in God, say that they can't explain it, and that it's a miracle that they just get better all of a sudden. And not only that, just when I think of addiction and people who think of all the stories that you hear where people say that Jesus saved them, and a lot of times there is a physical healing aspect that comes along with that. One interesting thing that happens in Matthew chapter 10, which is kind of a subtopic that I'm interested in, but I don't feel like getting into it in this video in particular. Matthew chapter 10, verse 5, Jesus instructs the apostles to not go into the way of the Gentiles. And my personal opinion is that there's 12 apostles, and that Judas is one of them, and then obviously at a certain point was no longer an apostle. And I don't personally believe that Paul is a legitimate apostle. And I think that there's a lot of clues in the Bible that show you that Paul is actually a snake. And one of them is Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. Paul completely disobeys the orders of Jesus, who said to not go into the way of the Gentiles. And Paul just kind of does his own thing and preaches his own gospel. And I'm not okay with that. And really what I think the interesting part is the way that people react to not supporting Paul or thinking that Paul is a snake. And to me, it just shows that a huge problem, in my opinion, with modern Christianity is Paul worship, and that it seems like churches focus way more on Paul stuff than they do on Jesus. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. Jesus is the Messiah. You should go to Jesus. Anything else is secondary, in my opinion, in the Bible. First, you go to Jesus. He's the Messiah. Why would you be going to some human to get your teachings from when you have the actual word of the Messiah in the Bible? And so here, let me just put it this way. What if somebody didn't like Job for some reason? They just really didn't like Job, and that was their opinion. They didn't like Job. I don't think that part of going to heaven is that you have to like Job. So if somebody really didn't like Job and they had their own opinion for why that is, that doesn't affect me. I don't think of them as a bad person for that. But when you have negative opinions about Saul, people freak out and they make it seem like they make it seem like you're doing the most blasphemous thing by doubting Paul. Why do people care so much that I doubt a human when I have a preference for the Messiah over Paul? That's my issue. My hugest issue with Paul is that I see people, it seems to me, in my opinion, I'm not the judge, I don't know everything that's going on, but it seems to me like people go to Paul first and Jesus second. I even have a story of somebody I know who their husband is a pastor at a small church. They were just telling a story about how excited their husband was to go on this trip. And it's because the trip was going to be in the Mediterranean, Middle East-ish area. And they were talking about how excited they were. And I mean, first of all, I don't really believe that what they tell us is the Middle East and is biblical lands. I don't think that that's the real biblical lands. I personally believe that the real biblical lands is the USA. Anyways, so in my mind, when this person was talking about, oh, their husband is so excited to go on this trip to the Middle East, my mind immediately thought, oh, okay, that makes sense. They're excited to go there and be where the action was, allegedly, even though I don't believe that, whatever. That's what I thought. They were excited to go be where it all happened, you know? But it turns out, they kept talking, and it turns out that they were excited to go do this Paul thing. They are so jazzed up because they get to go to the Middle East area or the Mediterranean or whatever and like follow the path of Paul and go and preach in the places that Paul went. And I just like died inside. Like, of course this pastor is obsessed to go do everything Paul did. I don't understand people's obsession with Paul. I think that it's because Paul was a really sneaky snake. And I think that instead of murder, I think that what Paul did, here's my quick opinion on Saul. I think that he realized that murdering Christians and making martyrs out of them wasn't helping anything. Because if you murder a Christ believer, then they go to heaven. So I think that Paul had the idea, well, instead of just killing Christians, his idea was to undermine the religion, to break into it from the inside and undermine it and try to send people to hell that way by making his own gospel up and getting people to worship him rather than Jesus. That's my opinion on Paul. If people freak out about it, it just shows, why do people care that I don't like Paul? Salvation is not through Paul. Salvation is through Jesus Christ. Paul didn't die on the cross. Why do people care that I don't like him? Okay, continuing on. Yes, this chapter continues the tradition of physical healing of people. I think that a lot of spiritual arts are just lost. And I do believe that people can be healed through prayer. It's one of those things where even in academia, they'll talk about what do you call it? Like experiments that doctors will do that end up proving that prayer does make people recover better from surgeries and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really believe what they tell us, but it's the kind of thing where every once in a while they'll even publish articles that admit prayer actually does do stuff. And I think it's just something you have to do for yourself. I know that prayer works because I've seen it happen in my life. And physical prayer, physical healing does happen through prayer. So there's a spiritual aspect to healing that a lot of people don't pay attention to or don't talk about. Another big topic in Matthew chapter 10 is family turmoil, that you're going to run into problems with family. And people gave me some names. One of the names, Hallmark Christians or Happy Clappy Christians. They don't want to admit that people in your very family are likely not going to be in heaven. And that's the thing, your blood family, that's not your family. That's not what it is. Your family is bigger than that. It's not about who you're blood related to. And yeah, it's unfortunate that not all of your blood family is going to make it to heaven, but that's just the way it is. And Jesus also tells us to expect persecution. Don't fear exposing evil. Don't go out of your way to get thrown in prison, but don't be afraid of exposing evil and expect to be persecuted in this world. And don't be afraid to confess that you follow Jesus. And it's important that you confess that you're a follower of Jesus. And In this chapter, Jesus also says that he didn't come to bring peace. This is another argument against the happy, clappy Hallmark Christians. Jesus didn't come to bring peace, but to bring a sword. And Jesus comes above family. This is actually a big part of my waking up. A large part of my waking up was making the conscious decision that above anything else, the truth was the most important part. The most important part of life, the most important thing to me was the truth. And it wasn't until later that I found out that Jesus Christ is the truth. It said it in the Bible, and I didn't know that until later. So Jesus Christ is the most important thing above all else. And I remember making that decision above the obvious choice. Most people walk around, oh, family is the most important thing. Family. It's all about family. If you're really going to follow the teachings of Jesus, that's the wrong answer. That is absolutely the incorrect answer, that family is the most important. Wrong. God is the most important. Jesus is the most important. And that's part of Matthew 10. I hope you enjoyed this video. God bless everyone.